everyone, and welcome to today's episode. We're going to be talking about When the Silence Breaks by Elizabeth Goddard. So, this one, it's a romantic suspense novel. It fits within the Christian fiction category, and it's book one in Elizabeth's new Mercy Ridge series. So, why did I want to read this one? Well, I've loved reading books from Elizabeth in the past, and I've got 3 episodes on her last series, which was a Hidden Bay series that I've recorded at Fangirling. So you can look up episode 3 on Storm Morning and episode 20 on Perilous Tides and episode 52 on Deadly Currents. And I also have book recommendations at my blog, and you'll find that at narelleatkins.com. And you can look up the playlist to find those episodes at your podcasting app or at YouTube. And I'm going to add my usual disclaimer and say many thanks to the publisher who provided an advance reader copy, and all the opinions that I express in this episode are completely my own. Now, I'm very excited. I've got a giveaway. So I have one paperback copy to give away to a reader who has a USA mailing address, and the details on the giveaway I'll share at the end of the episode. So let's talk about the book. When the Silence Breaks by Elizabeth Goddard is set in the North Cascades. So that's the mountain range in the northern part of Washington. So it's quite a remote area. And this one I'd say is 60-40, a little bit weighted more towards suspense than the romance. And that's probably because it's a short time frame novel, which there's a lot of action. This is action packed, and it's definitely a suspense thriller. So I'm going to share the tropes with you because there's romance tropes and suspense tropes. So we've got former law enforcement characters. So our leading lady and our hero have a history in law enforcement that comes into play in the story. And we have the protector hero, and we have unknown danger with our characters in peril pretty much from the beginning of the story. We also have a child in danger in this one. We've got our leading lady's brother who was recently murdered, like a few weeks before the story started. So that's actually been the inciting incident as to why chapter 1 is happening and what's going on. We've got high octane suspense. There's a lot going on in this story. And as I said, it's definitely a thriller in terms of some of the things that are happening. And with the romance, we've got forced proximity, because these two are pretty much together the entire story. And we've got our hero who has a matchmaking mother, which makes life interesting at the beginning. We have family secrets, which will come into play as the story progresses. And Mercy Ridge is this really charming Bavarian style town. It's a place I'm really looking forward to going back to in future books in the series. Now, we have multiple mysteries, and the mysteries deepen as the story progresses. We have a World War II military mystery that's part of the mysteries, and we've got international intrigue, and we have family drama. So there's a lot happening in this book. So I'm going to share the first line with you, which is this one. Secrets can't stay buried forever. And I tell you what, there's a lot of truth in that opening line, and it definitely sets up the story because there are so many secrets that are going to be revealed as we travel with these characters. So in chapter 1, we meet Sarah, and she's searching for truth and looking to expose secrets and to find out why her brother was murdered. That's pretty much where we're starting from. So she's a widow, and she's in her late 20s or early 30s. She's a former Fed, and she's now working as an intelligence analyst. So at the start of the story, as I mentioned, her brother was recently murdered, and that's within like 2 or 3 weeks before chapter 1 starts. Her family's in hiding. We have a 3-year-old family member in danger who's in hiding as well. And her brother had come across a mystery connected to their grandfather. So they were raised by their grandfather, and it was when he was dying that he started to reveal some things about the past that they were totally unaware of. So completely out of left field, things that just didn't make sense. And her brother had started investigating. And it relates to a missing World War II plane that was presumed to be crashed in the Pacific Ocean. But there's things that her grandfather has shared that suggest that this plane actually crashed in a mountain near Mercy Ridge. And that's hence why we have our leading lady, Sarah, who is in Mercy Ridge when chapter 1 starts. And the town secrets are very much an important part of this story because the story going around town is that it's a complete myth that this military plane crashed or landed in the mountains. And they've had treasure hunters over the years looking for treasure connected to this World War II plane, and no one has found anything. And so our hero, who's grown up in Mercy Ridge, has grown up to believe that it's a complete myth and there's no truth to this plane potentially landing on the mountain. So I'm going to introduce you to Ryder. So he's a similar age to Sarah, and he's a former Navy SEAL, and he's a wilderness safety consultant. So he works for the sheriff's office, but he previously worked as a tourist guide for his family adventure company in the mountains. And so at the start of the story, he's living in Mercy Ridge. And one of the reasons he stopped being a tour guide is his father was killed in the mountains in an accident, and Ryder's got a lot of guilt connected to that. So there's a lot of trauma. And so he's been avoiding doing anything like tour guide work and going into the mountains because he's got to process all the emotional baggage that goes with the specific set of circumstances as to what happened to his father. And he also has a matchmaking mother. I just loved his mom. She was so cool. And she really wants grandkids. So she's very much involved in the romance at the start of the story as to why Sarah and Ryder end up in the same place and sort of kind of get put together before all the danger really escalates. So the meet cute between these two is before his mother's involved in anything. We go back to chapter 1, and this meet cute, it was terrifying. It was intense. It was stressful. Sarah honestly thinks that she's going to die. It was a really full-on, scary, life-threatening opening, and it's Ryder who saves her life, and that immediately puts a bond between them because she feels thankful to him. But what he's not aware of is that she was looking for him because she needs a tourist guide so that she can go into the mountains and search for this plane. So, as I said, there were sparks of attraction in this one. It's a short time frame novel, so the romance is happening over days as opposed to weeks, so it's more weighted towards the suspense. But from the very beginning, when he rescues her, we can see that there's definitely an attraction that's sitting underneath the surface between these two that's going to bubble along in the story. So, as you can probably guess, there are a lot of problems in this book. I mean, Sarah, from the start, from the opening line, she's in danger and she's on the run. She's got her family in a safe house in hiding because they're in danger. And she wants answers. She wants to know what happened to her brother. Why did he die? The death was ruled an accident. She's convinced it was murder for a number of reasons. And she wants to expose the truth and find out what's going on and why was her brother murdered? What had he found? What had he exposed? Or what was he about to find and expose? So Sarah's got a lot of emotional baggage. She's a widow, so there's history in terms of what happened to her late husband, and also history as to why she left the feds as well, because stuff has happened in the past. And Ryder has his own emotional baggage and the fear of the mountain. The mountain really is like a character in the book, and he's got a lot of emotional baggage because he doesn't want to go back to the part of the mountain where his father was killed, and there's other things that have happened in the mountain. So he's got some things to work on and some fears to confront during the story, and also his own guilt and looking at whether that guilt is genuine or whether it's misplaced guilt as well. And both Sarah and Ryder have secrets, which is totally unsurprising because they both worked in law enforcement in jobs where they have to keep secrets. And there are things that have happened in the past that they are not allowed to reveal because it was related to their job. So there's a lot of secrets going on that get revealed during the story. And the big question is, can they trust each other? And that's something that they have to look at because they need to rely on each other to survive at different times. And the town secrets were just fascinating. I mean, his family, I think his great grandfather was a founder in the town. And so his grandfather and his own father have all lived and breathed Mercy Ridge. It's been such an important part of their family as well. And so that's why he kind of doesn't want to get involved when Sarah approaches him to take her up the mountain. But because of his family and because of the history it's kind of a bit of a hook that sort of hooks him in because he wants to know what's happened in this town and what's been going on and what the story is with this plane, although he's very skeptical that this plane actually exists, except for one thing that's happened that's given him a bit of a clue that there could be some truth to what Sarah has said. So we have a lot of complex mysteries to solve that get deeper and deeper as the story progresses, which I just loved. And so I just love this story. It was fabulous. Again, it was a fast read within 24 hours. And a lot of that is because I plan to read Elizabeth Goddard's books within 24 hours because I just know that they're a page turner and I just want to keep turning the page and don't want to put it down. So I actually set aside time so I can do that and enjoy a lovely fast read, fast paced, and all that kind of thing. I just loved it. And I loved how, with our romance, we've got two really strong independent leads. And these two, our two main characters, they're very independent and they don't need each other in many respects. And one of the things that's really interesting with their relationship is how they learn that they could potentially need each other and they can't do everything themselves. And it was a high stress romance because of the suspense and everything else that's going on and the danger that's happening. And the forced proximity, they're forced to survive in the mountains. And we have snow and we have terrible weather and natural disaster event type things going on as well, because this mountain is an active volcano. So there's a lot happening in the mountain. So it was quite an unpredictable scenario as well with all of those environmental factors coming in. And they ended up in many life and death situations. And I just loved the high octane suspense and danger that was constantly there and it kept building and the plot was fabulous. I just loved it. And there were some twists that I didn't see coming. And it really did keep me guessing with the intriguing mysteries and all the plot twists. And I loved the mountain wilderness setting in the Cascades. It was beautiful. It was remote. It was kind of like Alaska. If you like Alaskan wilderness stories, and you'd like this one. And it has all the weather conditions that are challenging, like you get in a story set in Alaska. And that Mersey Ridge town, we met some really interesting and quirky characters as well that I'm looking forward to seeing again in future books in the series. And it was just such a charming town as well. So my favorite book quote in the story is this one. He believed God's timing was perfect and that what was meant to be revealed would be when the time was right. And this is Ryder who's thinking this, and we're in the context of looking at solving mysteries and searching for truth. And our characters really did need to draw on their faith and to trust God because there were some situations where they got very close to meeting Jesus at different times in this story as well. So there were some nail biting moments. And I describe this one as having relevant faith elements. So we look at the importance of truth and honesty. And the story also has justice themes, and we explore trust issues and who can we trust and what are the consequences of trusting the wrong people. And it also explores forgiveness themes as well. So, in terms of the impact on me, as I said, there was a lot of danger. So, there were some scary, hairy moments in this one where I'm thinking, how are these characters going to get out of this? And we also have some poignant moments because our characters are dealing with some emotional baggage from the past, and we have, with all the danger, you always have those moments where there's a lot of fear and a lot of worry and a lot of concern. And so it's very much a heart pounding read where I'm turning the page, turning the page, turning the page, and reading quickly because I've got to know what happens next because I'm so worried about the characters. And I really appreciated the sweet romance as well, and how these two independent people really discovered they needed each other and they actually wanted to help each other. And even though they didn't know each other, they started off as strangers at the beginning. That bond between them formed very quickly. And I also loved how they were prepared to sacrifice for each other at different times as well. And the story also made me think, particularly about how evil can have some very deep roots. And some of the things that had happened in this story, it went back years in terms of the planning by the people who were the perpetrators of evil in this story. There was a lot of pre-planning. It wasn't something that just happened on the run. And it really made me think about how there can be some pretty big consequences if we trust the wrong people. And that's something that Sarah and Ryder discovered in this story as everything played out and all the mysteries were solved. And it had a very satisfying ending, which I really appreciated as well. So, in summary, I recommend this book to readers who like high octane romantic suspense. That's also a thriller and has thriller story elements because you've got that nail biting, page turning thing going on. To readers who like unknown danger and lots of secrets that will be revealed in the story, including family secrets and town secrets. To readers who like the mountain wilderness setting in the Cascades and who like family drama as well, and having a historical context as well with the mysteries that are happening. And to readers who like forced proximity with the romance, with the protector hero, and readers who like mysteries and international intrigue in their romantic suspense, and also relevant faith elements that include forgiveness and justice themes. Thanks for joining me today. Does When the Silence Breaks sound like a book that you'd like to read? Have you read it? What did you think? You can let me know. If you're listening at the podcast, you can send me a text via a link at the show notes. If you're watching at YouTube, you can like the episode at YouTube and leave a comment at YouTube. You can also email me at my website where I've got a contact form, and you'll find that at narelleatkins.com. And if you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, and you can do that at your favorite podcasting app, or you can subscribe at YouTube, and then you'll get a notification on when my next episode drops. And if you've enjoyed this episode, please share the link with a friend, especially a friend who enjoys reading romantic suspense and a friend who you think would enjoy reading Elizabeth's books. Now, let's talk about the giveaway. So, as I said, I've got one paperback copy for a reader with a USA mailing address, and the giveaway will close on August 26, 2026. So, it's closing on the 26th of August, and that's USA West Coast time. And the link to enter the giveaway will be in the show notes. So, thanks for tuning in, and see you next time.